And let's start with the tweet. So I like to tweet when I'm in the middle of the night, inspiration strikes. It says, it is better to die with memories than dreams. So when you are at the end of your life, it's better to not have regrets that I wish I did this, I wish I did that. Better to be like, you know what, I'm glad I have good memories to relish, and that's what, this is all about, anatomy of change. So basically, how does that work? So first, you really have to feel the problem. There has to be some level of disgust, desire that, you know what, I want to change my destiny. You resolve, you create a compelling vision, and you act on it every day, little by little, right? Small changes every day is sustainable. Then you identify who you are. As individuals, we have our strengths and weaknesses. And especially as a co-founder or founder of a company, you need to know what your strength is. Is it on the right brain or left brain? Many people are good with mathematics, analytical skills, logic. So your left brain, mostly, predominantly. Others are more creative, more musically inclined, more people, social, outgoing. Those are more right brain. And some people are, like Steve Jobs, both sides of the brain working pretty well. So you understand technology as well as marketing and sales, and that's a powerful combination. So we all have our skills and passions. When you start a problem, you start with a market that is big enough, has a big buying power. You figure out the problem, and with your skills, you try to figure out the solution. You won't have all the skills, so you need a team. And with the help of a team, you have all the skills, you create your product or service, and then you build a business model around it. What is a business model? A business model is basically all parts of a company necessary to make money, kind of like a sugarcane juicer. The sugarcane goes in, juice comes out. So your effort goes in, revenue comes out, profit comes out, right? So all of the moving parts in that is a business model. What is a startup? A startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. So as you're a startup, you're trying to figure out, will this work? Will that work? Will this technology work? Will this market work? Will this model work? Should I sell online? Should I sell offline? Should I try digital marketing? Should I try something else, right? You're testing variables and then figuring out how to create a repeatable and scalable model. That means your model works in Andhra Pradesh, it works in West Bengal, it works in Tamil Nadu, it works in Punjab, and hopefully as you grow, it works globally, right? You're figuring out a repeatable, scalable business model. And like I said, you start with a problem. A problem is something that no one wants. Everyone has to face it, but no one can avoid it, right? So that's a problem. That's a dire problem. So basically you should make sure that you're dealing with a need to have, not a nice to have. Then nice to have people are not willing to spend as much. Need to have, no matter what, you'll be recession proof, right? So back in the days, what used to happen is people like Ambani's, Adani's, Birla's, they would be like, building a product and throwing a lot of money at TV ads and forcing people to buy it through ads, right? Today with data technology, we are able to figure out, what do people want? What is it that their need is? And accordingly, we are able to solve a problem. We're able to design a problem that people want rather than what we think people want. So making people want things to making things people want. I'm not going to spend 30 minutes, don't worry. But in the ideation market research process, you're doing two kinds of market research. One is primary, one is secondary. Secondary market research is where you're looking at Google Trends, you're looking at Google keyword search and finding out how many people are searching this problem. You go on Quora and you see how many people are asking about this problem. You go on various platforms and articles and you see if the problem I'm addressing is faced by enough number of people. Is there a solution? Like you do some research. Then you do primary market research where you really talk to people, real people from that addressable market and figure out some insights. You talk to 30 minimum, right? You can go up to 200, 300 people. You can talk to them with the proper questionnaire and try to figure out, not surveys, it's not survey monkey, but actually talking to people, because 70%, so hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Please go ahead.
Because so when you're doing market research, it's very important to see the person you're researching, because 7% is words, 93% is body language, tone, and everything else. So to understand if your problem, if your solution is worth it, you need to do primary market research. And once you're done with that, then you visualize, you sketch it, you visualize it, you create a prototype, right? For a physical product, it's a real prototype, a 3D printout. For a digital product, it could be a user experience, right? For example, a SketchUp or some kind of way of showing an app and its different faces. So you can show it to people, get some feedback, and build based on that feedback. I'm not going through these exercises because already we're kind of late. So these are like problem statement, how to write the right problem so that you can come to the right solution. But generally speaking, this is the format that a solution should be. That XYZ LLC, which is the name of the company, helps blah, that is the addressable market, right? To blah, that means what problem you're solving. By blah, that means through what means. So as for example, Kolkata Ventures, it'll be like Kolkata Ventures helps entrepreneurs to growth hack their businesses by using lean startup methodology, right? So Kolkata Ventures helps entrepreneurs. Now we do a lot of things. We do funding, we do resources, we do a lot of different things. But primarily speaking, highlight-wise, in one sentence, if somebody asks, this is what the answer is. So when you go for networking, when you go for investor pitching, on your investor's pitch deck, on your solution, you don't do like, I do 10 million things. You put, this is what I do, right? This is what I do. And by the way, there are other things also. This is primarily what I do. This is a very important part of your pitch deck. And as you go through the process of finding a repeatable, scalable business model, you're building, testing, learning, you're building, measuring, learning. You're constantly looking at your Google, Facebook insights, right? You're looking at who is your target audience, who is reacting to your posts, your ad, your, try running ads worth 100 rupees. Somebody's microphone is on. Vishal, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. Again, somebody's microphone is on. Surekha, ch.Surekha, can you please mute your mic? There's an echo coming from your mic, Surekha. Anyway. Okay, I am muted now. Hello?
Yes, sir, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. All right. So you fail fast, you succeed faster. That's the process of a startup. That's what lean startup methodology teaches us, is you build something, you measure it. Initially, the customers might not like it. But as you go through the process, eventually, you will find one thing that's working, and slowly you'll build, measure, and learn and get through the process. And as you go through build, measure, learn, you will learn to find a unique bragging proposition instead of a unique selling proposition. So what does that mean? So a unique bragging proposition, so think about it like Truecaller, right? So how does Truecaller grow? They didn't market themselves so much. What did they do? The product itself goes viral. People are like, hey, give me a number and I'll give you the name. Who is using this number? Oh, really? How? Download the app, Truecaller. Or Dropbox. Dropbox was starting out, and then Dropbox said, okay, let me use our people as marketers. So they said, okay, if you invite your friend, you get 500 MB free, and your friend gets 500 MB free. And Dropbox grew massively through referral program. And in 2 years, they became a $10 billion company. So that's very, very important to understand that your product needs to have the virality or the unique bragging proposition built into it, so that people can feel, your customers can feel good talking about it in social media, telling other people about it, referring to other people that this is such a great product. And that comes by building, measuring, learning, slowly, right? All right. So building a scalable model. So Warren Buffett, I love this quote. He says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. What does that mean? That means you create a system in place where, your process is making money rather than you trying to make every sale happen. There's a system in place, there are people in place, there's software in place, there's everything that's working tirelessly. When you're resting, still the system is working. So like, for example, if you're doing drop shipping, your Facebook ads are running, your fulfillment is happening. So you've put a system in place where you work 8-10 hours a week, and the rest of the time, the system takes care of making money, fulfilling, and taking care of all things. So customer care is taken care of by you, and you put the system in place and it works. So that's beautiful. And now for an app or something like that, you build the app and people are downloading it. 1 million people can download it, 10 million people can download it, 1 billion people can download it. It's still one app, right? So it's a very scalable model. So if you look at this diagram, you'll understand that as a company is growing, users are growing, the cost is growing linearly. But with the number of users, if you see bottom here, the value is growing more because there's virality, there's referrals, there are other things. And this curve is exponential curve, right? This is growing exponentially. But what happens, most startups give up over here because they're in the red and they have nowhere to measure if they're growing or not. And they think, oh, I'm not good enough. Let me go back to job. And that's the critical mass. Beyond this point, you're able to see amazing growth. But before this, it's difficult. So Vijay Shekhar Sharma recently tweeted, not recently, but a few months ago, that from 2001 to 2007 or so, he was eating 1 meal a day or something like that, like really struggling hard, right? So that was that red area. And then he figured out the Paytm model. Before, he had many other models that he was trying, but then the Paytm model worked out. And then Modi did the whole demonetization, and that revolutionized the entire country to go digital, and Paytm just grew in leaps and bounds. So it's very powerful to know that it takes time, but if you understand, if you're measuring properly your growth, you will understand how close you are to critical mass and go beyond. So in half an hour, I cannot share much with you about the details, but it's a science. It's a science. It's not art. It's a science, and it can be figured out very nicely. Now, let me figure it out. Let me break it down further for you. So let's say you have $1 million goal. In 12 months, my startup should make $1 million, right? So this is what you do. You break it down further. You break it down into number of months even further, right? Now you can even break it down into number of days. And then you know that every day, what is your quota? You have to meet certain quota, right? That's when you're heading towards $1 million goal. Now, what will happen is things like coronavirus will always happen. It's not a new thing. For entrepreneurs, we have always faced these kinds of issues. Coronavirus is massive, yes. But in 2009, when I was starting my first startup, it was a recession. Nobody was investing. Similar situation, 10% unemployment rate. So it's just part of life. Now, what happens is certain months you will do well, certain months you won't do well. But making sure that overall, on average, you make up for the months you didn't do well and you go towards your goal, or you extend it. You have to be a little flexible. But the point is, if you set a goal, only then you can break that goal down. And only then you can achieve it and measure your growth. That I'm measuring myself, yes, I'm going towards that $1 million or $1 billion goal, or I'm not. But if you say, it'll be nice to have some money, then you're not going anywhere. So it's important that you set a milestones for yourself and create a trajectory, a plan to go towards that milestone. Now, you need the right people to help you with this. You need your co-founders who have the skills you don't have, and they have the skills mutually speaking, you have skills they don't have, and they have skills you don't have, and accordingly, all together are bigger than what you individually are. You have an executive team, that's a graphic designer, digital marketer, etc. You have outsourced team, like you'll need lawyers, you'll need accountants and things like that. Sometimes you might need somebody to build your app or website, and the tech team might be outsourced as well. Board of advisors, right? These are people, because you're young, you're college students, having people with experience, let's say professors or people like me, it helps you get credibility. That means, okay, I'm young, but these people who are industry leaders, they trust me. And because they trust you, you should trust me too. So when an investor looks at you and they see, I don't know these guys, but the board of advisors, I know many of them, and they're great people. And if they're trusting them, so let me give them attention because they must be good, right? So board of advisors is not just for advice, but also for credibility purposes. It's a stamp of approval. Interns, of course, you guys are the age of interns, but interns are great also for startups. They do a lot of grunt work, a lot of research, a lot of things that, you know, uh, that are not high skill, but high will. That means they require a lot of work, but they're not very skilled because interns don't have skills. They're still learning, they're in college. Investors and strategic partners, of course, you need investors at the growth stage. Somebody's mic is unmuted, kindly mute your mic. Um, strategic partners are those who grow when you grow, and when you grow, they grow. That means, for example, right, Paytm. Uh, Paytm was like, okay, I have 400 billion wallets. Now I want to have more than just wallets. I want to sell air tickets. I want to sell movie tickets, right? So Paytm said, hey, Insider, you have thousands of events going on, but you have to do digital marketing to sell your tickets. Come on my platform. I will give you visibility. I will sell your tickets. You can make money for your events, and I'll have events from you. So, Insider is giving events, and Paytm is giving visibility. Both win. Insider is growing. Paytm is also growing as a result. Paytm is making more money per transaction of tickets sold. Insider is also making money per transaction of tickets sold and marketing and whatnot. Right? So, strategic partner. Important, very, very important for explosive growth. You need to have strategic partners. Two kinds of businesses, product and service. So product business, you need some funding because you need to build your prototype. It's physical product, right? But there's also crowdfunding. You can go to crowdpouch.com. It's a company that is incubated by us, Kolkata Ventures, and they're the first crowdfunding platform in India. That means, so what does crowdfunding mean? In the US, they have something called Kickstarter, Indiegogo. These are crowdfunding platforms where common people can come and say, hey, that's a great idea. I will give you $50. I'll give you $5. I'll give you $500, right? So people throw money at you, looking at your idea, looking at the video that you've made of your prototype, right? So one of my mentees, she had this, the iPhone at the bottom, there are speakers, right? So she did a video with Starbucks coffee cup lid, cut it out, put it under the iPhone, and showed, look, it sounds so much louder when you put it under the iPhone. And with that one video that she put on Kickstarter, she was trying to raise $10,000. She raised $330,000. Went to China, manufactured the product, went back to US. She already had customers before she even had the product. That's the beauty of crowdfunding. So you should definitely Google crowdfunding and use CrowdPouch if you want to raise money for your startup from just common people, not just investors. Build, test, learn. In the process of a product development, you will always, like, for example, this product, right? I'm sure it's gone through at least 1,000 build, test, learn cycles where you build the prototype, you like it, you don't like it, show it to the market, and slowly you figure out something that's manufacturer ready that people would want, right? Better product, Series A investment, go all out with your launch, maybe first 1,000 products you launch, then go all out with marketing, distribution, and sales. So distribution, so in India, still 10% of all retail happens through Amazon, Flipkart, and all of these. 90% of retail happens in brick and mortar stores. So distribution means distributors, who each distributor has access to hundreds of stores. So if your product is taken by one distributor, you will get one distributor to sell it to hundreds of stores, right? They will take a margin, the store will take a margin. So you could probably sell it for 50%. So let's say your product, you're selling it at $100 or 100 rupees, let's say, right? So you'll have to give it to the distributor 50 rupees. Distributor will keep 20 rupees. He will sell it to the retailer at 70 rupees. And retailer will sell it to the end customer at 100 rupees, keeping 30 rupees for himself. So 50 rupees margin, you're keeping it for distributor and retailer. And 50 rupees is for you, right? That's how much margin has to be there. So product business is not easy. Nobody said it's easy. And I won't recommend you doing product business right now during Corona time, because it's difficult. People, social distancing, lockdown, physical product is almost dead right now. Service business, very easy, get started. Sitting at home, using a computer, you can find your customers, B2B customers on LinkedIn, B2C customers on Instagram and Facebook, right? Once you figure out people are buying your thing, test one variable at a time. Don't do too many things. Do one thing better, test your features. Make sure you're compliant, your management, your accounting, everything is taken care of. Slowly bring in people, give people responsibilities, right? So that you're not doing everything by yourself as you grow. Have a sales push like Byju's, like they have 2,500 people telecalling and selling over the phone. So once you're done with social media, you'll also need people to convert those social media leads into real customers using phone calls. Like, hey, saw that you showed interest on social media, would love to give you a discount or would love to give you something. Would you become a customer, etc. Right? So start with market research, translate your market research to product or service, prioritizing minimum viable features, and then so something small. Don't try to build everything for everyone. Build something for someone. Be niche, be narrow, right? And start with something simple. And then prototype it, show it to people, get feedback, and then go from either manufacturing or launch, right? If you're physical product manufacturing, if you're a virtual product, just launch it. Get feedback, and with that, answer these questions. Who is your customer? So you might have thought that my customers are college students, but then you find out your customers tend to be all young urban professionals, 25 to 35 years old, or 50 plus years old. You don't know. Who is your customer? You're searching for a repeatable, scalable model. What product do you actually want? What does the customers want? It's very important to understand that you thought they want this, but your data shows they want that, right? Google Analytics, customer complaints, your Facebook insights, comments on your social media pages and all that. People will tell you, this is what I want. You're giving me this, but I want that, right? So what is it that your customers want? And how to build a sustainable business around it. Sustainable means you don't always have to push in money, but your system will pay for itself. Sustainable business around it. So get a mentor. It's not, I said a lot of things right now. So you'll be like, oh my God, there's so much to build a startup. Don't worry. Even now, I call my mentors and one phone and my life gets fixed, right? Several weeks worth of drama gets fixed in 1 5-minute call. So always get a mentor. They will fix it for you. So who is a mentor? A mentor is somebody who is where you want to be, who has been where you are today. That means not somebody who's a professor or who's has learned some startup books and is going to just be a motivational speaker. No, you don't need motivational speakers. You need entrepreneurs helping you, because entrepreneurs go through the hardship and successful entrepreneurs have actually done it successfully. So you know from them that how to become successful versus people who have never made it. They can only read books and hear content and watch videos, Shark Tank and this, that, and give you gyan. That's worth nothing. Get a mentor who is a successful entrepreneur and who has built it from zero, just like you're starting out from zero, right? If you're having father's help, people are giving you money from home, sure, get a mentor who has built from their father's money. So always go for somebody who is where you want to be and who has been where you are today. And ending it with this, so do it now, no excuses, get started. So you've heard me, you know some of the stuff, go do some Google search, go do some research that, okay, where do I start? What do I start? I have a bunch of videos, watch them. Just Google my name, you'll find all my videos on startups, right? Make it a habit to win. That means every day, do 3 things that on your to-do list, on your phone, write it down. Today, I'm going to do 3 things for my startup, right? Whether it's making 3 LinkedIn contacts, or whether it's going out and meeting people, whether it's researching, whether it's emailing people like me, for mentorship or whatever, but do 3 things every day, and every day try to achieve something towards your long-term goal, towards a $1 million goal or a $10 million goal, right? And empower your dream with a deadline. Have a deadline. It's not enough to just do it every day, but know when you will be done, when you will launch your product, when will you launch your business, etc. And this is my quote from all the 8 businesses that I've done and 400 plus revenue generating startups from Kolkata Ventures that I've helped started for our incubates is this: think really big, really, really big. Don't think a million, think a billion. Think 10 billion if you want to. Think trillion if you want to, but think big. Start small. Start where you are today. Start 100 rupees. It's okay, right? Low hanging fruit. Things you can easily do in college. Things you can easily do with the help of your friends. With a WordPress website, you can get started. You don't need an app, right? With 2 hours, little bit of YouTubing, you will learn the skills you need to get something off the ground. So start small, grow slow, make your mistakes, don't repeat your mistakes, then grow really, really fast, right? That means you take money from investor and you get market share, grow in, naturally, globally, etc. And if there's anything I can do for you, you can always go to kolkataventures.com/startup resources and let us know if there's anything you need, whether it's lawyers, how to incorporate your company, developers, designers, mentorship, whatever you need, you just let us know. We'll be happy to help you with that. Or WhatsApp this number. If you need time to get a one-on-one session with me, you can WhatsApp my executive assistant at this number and he'll set it up for you. A free gift, like I said, there are 200 plus startup related videos I have made for you guys, 1 minute to 3 minutes long, very short snippets. But if you watch them over and over again, you'll realize they're like half an hour worth of content put into like 3 minutes, right? I'm not a bullshitter. I just like to speak in less words. As you saw, I gave a long presentation, but there's so much more that you'll realize once you start your startup. Right now, a lot of things might have gone above your head, but when you start your startup, you'll be like, oh, Mr. Roy told me this. Acha, now I understand what he meant. So similarly, watch these videos. They will be your biggest help. I have given this to, because I cannot be there as a mentor for all these hundreds and thousands of startups that are there in India. I have made myself available through my videos. So go on youtube.com/Avelo Roy, watch them. If you have questions, come to Instagram or LinkedIn, write to me. I generally respond in 48 hours or less, right? If you have questions, write to me on Instagram, or you can even comment on my videos on YouTube and I will publicly answer your question. I respond to every single comment on YouTube. All right, I will stop sharing my screen and see if you wonderful people have any questions.
Yes, sir. Myself, Basha, I have a query on seed funding. Yes, sir. Can you explain it a little bit on the seed funding? Uh, is the same between the crowdfunding and the seed funding? What is actually we need? Do we need to invest it or what?
Yeah, so see, you can start with zero money if you're doing a digital product or digital business, as long as you can have somebody build the technology, or you can learn the technology, build it yourself. But if you build a physical product, like a whatever gadget or whatever else, you need some money. So seed funding means that initial money to build a prototype, to spend on experimenting, research and development. So either you can get that from friends, family, you can get that from crowdfunding, or you can get that from not investors though. Initially, investors would be very cautious. They would want to see you develop something first, and based on your credentials, the investor will come in to help you pass that. But you have to first build something, then the investor will show interest. But initially, it might be your family or crowdfunding. Or if you're capable, you can get a team together and they can build it for you. So you don't have to pay for anything. Because you're in a university, your university might have 3D printer, so you might be able to get resources from your university, or even government has grants. So all of that can be seed money, right? Okay. Government has Atal Incubation Center, Atal Tinkering Labs that give you 15 lakhs, 10 lakhs, right? That's enough to get started. More than enough to get started. Yeah.
Yeah. One more query, sir, if you have time, if you allow me.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. How about this? Any startups about the registrations of the companies or ventures or any copyrights? What this kind of stuff? How to solve
just
those issues?
Us. We will help you out. That's not a very tough thing to do. Registration of a company takes a week. If you want trademark or patents, we have lawyers for that also. So we can help you out with that. No problem.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Sandeep is asking, what is the most important driving factor of entrepreneur, money or freedom? It depends, Sandeep, on who you're talking about. Different people have different driving factors. For me, the driving factor is making unhappy faces into happy faces. That gives me tremendous happiness to see that my product or service is making somebody else's life better. For others, it can be money, it can be freedom. It's all of them. but there's generally a primary factor that motivates one to become an entrepreneur. Anik is asking, should we worry about patenting our product before we start seed funding or approach people for investment? Yes. If your product is patentable, and before approaching investors, definitely apply for it, because your valuation will be far more with the intellectual property protection. And you will have more confidence also negotiating with the investor that, you know what, I'm not just some Tom, Dick, and Harry. I have something substantial that is patent pending. And that's why I'm looking at investment.
Mr. Roy, I have a question. Sushant this side.
Hi, Sushant.
First of all, there was some really enlightening talk. So yeah, coming to the question. So there was this part you were talking about, the research way of digging out information, having the right information in the first place before you start out secondary research, and then coming to primary research and all. Okay, and then there was this point you talked about doing ideas, in-depth interviews to your probably with your potential customers, and figuring out what is your thought process is in line with what your customers are thinking, or whether your thought process is in line with what your customers want, right? So now let's say you have a lot of data that you collect, right? These are basically open-ended questions. Now obviously, let's say if I happen to develop a product or a service based on that, and I go to my investor, obviously I cannot give a 300-page or a 400-page document of what my customers think to the investors. So we have to do the qualitative analysis part. So in your so you've been working for last 15 years on the startups. So can you give some insights on how entrepreneurs or successful entrepreneurs who present these data, they do it?
You don't present this data. See, this data is for yourself to figure out where you should be going. What is your GPS location? For an investor, it's very easy. From the investor's vantage point, I want to see traction. I want to see what have you done. Analysis is okay. Anybody can do analysis. I can tell a PhD person to do the analysis, but the PhD person is not capable of building a business. It takes a whole different part of the brain to build a business, to execute, to go out there and build something, compete with your competitors, and grab your customers. That is not something that any researcher can do. So research is one very small aspect of it that is important for you as an entrepreneur. But me as an investor, I want to see results. I want to see stickiness. I want to see monthly active users, daily active users on your Google Analytics. I want to see your data. Google Analytics will tell me, it won't lie to me, right? I want to see how many people are using your app and uninstalling it after 30 days. I want to see how much transaction is happening. I want to see how much customer acquisition cost is there as an investor. How much money you're spending on advertising to acquire one customer, and how much is the lifetime value of that customer. How much are you getting out of that customer, right? Those will help me figure out if you're investable or you're not. There's 1,000 startups that are applying to me, and I want to know what is my best investment. So I, as investors, looking only to grow my money. I'm not here to charitably look for, oh, such a nice guy, worked so hard on analysis, I should pay him. No, I don't give a damn about your analysis. I care about my money growing, and my money will grow where the product market fit, the team is dynamic, and they can execute and grow my money. That's what I care about. Does that make sense, Sushant?
Yeah, makes sense. So it's a sort of a vanity metric for the investor.
Investor doesn't give a damn about your market research. They just want to know you've done your market research. But at the end of it, when you're coming to investor, you're coming with customers. Without customers, if you go to investor, you're basically hurting yourself. I'm talking about professional investors. I'm not saying daddy's friend. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Because daddy's friend will invest in you maybe because he likes your daddy. But I'm talking about professional investors would look at your usage, your customers.
Sure. Just a follow-on question. Now, what if there's there are a couple of student startups on the campus here at GITAM, and just to kickstart with a few things, they need that basic, maybe a gap funding of few lakhs of rupees, maybe 5 or 10 or multiples of 5 lakhs, and then let's say there is a means through which if we can acquire that grant. So without customers, you ideally suggest it's not a great idea to go and seek that money?
So investors are not for that level. 5 lakh, 10 lakh, what will an investor get by giving you 5 lakhs and 10 lakhs? It's a waste of money. Better you get that money either from family or from the university. University should have some system, or get a Startup India loan, or go for Atal Incubation Center grants, right? There are lots of money available. And if you're a smart enough entrepreneur, you'll figure out a way without the money also to make it happen. Because let's say, what will the money be used for? The money will be, let's say, for 3D printing. I'm sure you can figure out a place. If not your university, some other university will have a 3D printer. What will the money be used for? Let's say lawyer. I'm sure you can negotiate with the lawyer and say, hey, help me pro bono. I will help you get more customers from my university. So it's really, an entrepreneur is a person who has the jugaad mindset. And with the jugaad mindset, you can figure out that even if you don't have money, whatever money can accomplish, you can figure it out through other means. If you go watch my first TED Talk, it's called The Currency of Relationship. How I built a business from zero, $1 million business I built with only relationships. Trust, sweet words, smile, passion, PowerPoint. That's all I used because I had no money, right? And I got my patent filed. I got people who are world-class building my product and services for free, right? Of course, they all got paid later on once funding came in, once revenue generation started. But when I started out, I was begging and pleading and borrowing. That's how I got it. I didn't have any, and I was winning competitions, so that I got $40,000 in money by winning 15 different competitions, business plan competitions. So you have to be an entrepreneur. You cannot be an employee mindset and try to be an entrepreneur. Like, oh, bhai, kuch to paisa de do. Somebody give me money so I can do something. No, even if you don't get money, you figure out a way. How can you do it without the money? An investor really appreciates that story. An investor, when he finds out that without his help, you have done this much, he can only imagine with his help how much you can do, right? So, and that's what you tell the investor. Without your help, without your money, I have done so much. That imagine what your investment will grow. And that's what sells the investor. Does it make sense, Sushant?
Sure, sounds great. Thanks a lot.
All right. There's somebody in the chat section. How to reach investors? Do they reply to our mails? And if it is safe to share ideas through mails? Pavan, that's a very again. Anyway, so understand every investor gets hundreds of messages, right? So we are not required to respond to everyone. And personally speaking, I have 45,000 unread emails in my mailbox. You know why? Because most of the emails look like this. It says, sir, I am starting a startup. I'm going to make the most revolutionary product in the entire world. And can I have 10 lakhs from you? I don't give a damn. If you don't know how to write an email, I don't think you can grow my money. Sorry, goodbye. I'm not going to respond to you. Versus somebody who says, sir, I've been following you on LinkedIn, really appreciate the kind of businesses you've built, really appreciate the business you invested in. And, especially that video you made, that was so nice. So now there's a little bit of, okay, you know who you're talking to, you know about me, good. Number two, then you say, okay, here I'm building a product in IoT sector that solves the problem of blah, right? And we have already done the testing, prototyping under the guidance of such and such professor. And we need your guidance to take it to the next level. Definitely, I want to help you. Because you're clear. You're telling me you know me. B, you're telling me you've worked hard. You're not just coming to me with a stupid idea. You're coming to me with actual work that you've done under proper guidance. And then you're telling me guidance. You're not telling me I'm after your wallet. I want your money. You're telling me I want your guidance. Okay, I'm happy to guide you. And if I like you, maybe I will write you a check. So then you get a response. But you write to people like the ATM machines, you don't get a response. Don't expect. And most investors have a process. If you research them, if you Google them, you'll find out they have a website. There's a form on the website. And you're supposed to answer some questions about your business. Are you pre-revenue, post-revenue? How long have you been in existence? What is your target market? What problem are you solving? What is the solution? They will ask you a bunch of questions. You write to those things. And there's a process in place. And you follow the process. Then you get response. You just reach out randomly. Dear sir, madam, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. You don't know I'm a sir or a madam? Sorry, I'm not interested in you. Go away. That's the That's the attitude you will get from investors, right? So it depends on how you write if you get a response or not. Sudhir is asking, is it required that we need to submit a provisional patent prior to complete a patent filed? I'm not a patent lawyer, but if you have, if there's a time issue, that means you have made your product public, there's a time within which you can file for a patent. If you don't file a provisional patent, it might be an issue. That means you might not have the right time to file for the patent. So provisional patent gives you a little bit more time, extends a little bit of time, so that you can have one more year extra to write the patent properly and file it. That's how I understand it. I'm not a lawyer. I might be wrong.
So this is Vishal and I have a question for you.
You have a question for me, okay?
Sir, being an entrepreneur myself, I saw the business models of companies like Oyo, Paytm, and others. You know, these companies that started new, like a decade ago or something like that. And then the only doubt I have is like, what makes a marketing strategy successful?
The only doubt you have is what makes a marketing strategy successful.
Yeah.
I wish I could give you a magic pill, Vishal, but I cannot. It always depends. Every marketing strategy, know for a fact, has gone through multiple trials and errors. Right? What I've seen Ritesh do is he always hires smart people so that they can figure it out, what works. For example, the strategy of Oyo that works in Bengal won't work in Andhra Pradesh, and that strategy that works in a tier 2 city doesn't work in a tier 1 city. So for example, the Oyo got the real boost when they allowed for unmarried couples to book hourly rooms in Oyo, right? That became the whole hookup thing, and people were very happy. And that was a great marketing move that nobody dared to do, and Oyo did it. It didn't work in certain conservative states, right? It worked in certain states, it didn't work in certain states. Certain hotels said, no, thank you, we will not allow unmarried couples, right, etc. So it's not about a magic pill that this is what works. It's about hearing the customers. It's about trying different things and seeing which one sticks, and constantly having that approach of digital marketing, physical as well as digital marketing, going hand in hand, that and getting the results, getting the data, and getting better at it, of what works and what doesn't work, and then let technology play the role. So Oyo, Paytm, they all have huge deep tech working in marketing, taking the data from people and figuring out how similar people, like Facebook does lookalike audience, right? You upload your customer list and Facebook will create a customer or a lookalike audience of 4 million people and tell you these are people who are just like your paid customers. And it works. It's magic, it works. It's science, it's not magic. But the point is, so you have to really figure out as you go through what channels are working. As you test more, you will see the 80-20 principle, right? Out of 5 channels, 1 channel is giving you 80% of the revenue, and the other 4 are giving you 20% of the revenue. So you know what to kill, what to invest more on, right? And it changes according to geographical location, according to backgrounds of financial backgrounds and whatnot. Does it make sense, Vishal?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Ray, just to add on to that, Sushant this side. So I worked with Oyo, and I was part of the team which when we rolled out the unmarried couple campaign. So I was part of the team. So
Right.
yeah, so it gave me kind of nostalgic feel when you were talking about it. So the prior to the unmarried couple campaign, Vishal, so Oyo did something called as the 999 campaign. So Oyo was the first one of those brands in India that came with, like, you get a hotel when you travel to Bombay under 999. And Oyo spent a lot of money on this campaign, and unfortunately that wasn't that successful. But for the unmarried couple campaign, we spent about 1/20th, 1/20th of the money that we spent on the 999 campaign, and it worked, and it did work magic numbers for us. But again, the other business that took hit was the Oyo corporate business, because of this unmarried couple campaign. A lot of corporates who said, like, when we went to their office to partner for Oyo for business model, they said, hey, yours is an unmarried couple, hotels, so we wouldn't want to partner. So I still remember some of the brands like LG Electronics India, Flipkart, they were kind of hesitant to partner with us because of this campaign, and it took us some time to brush up whatever we have done. So it did create a damage to certain segment of the market. Again, as Mr. Roy was mentioning, not every product or not every campaign works for every single user group. So if it's benefiting some user group, it is affecting the other user group. So I thought it would be good if I can just highlight on that part. So that's my learning experience from OODs.
Thank you for sharing. Anything else? Okay, good. Vishal, anything else?
No, sir. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.